Number 11, we've got this expression here, the cotangent of the inverse sine of the square root of 91 over 10. And we're asked to find the exact value of this expression. By exact value, we mean we don't want a decimal approximation, which is what your calculator is going to give you. So we need to do this by hand. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of this expression inside the parentheses here, the inverse sine, and we're going to set that equal to some other variable. We're going to use u. So u is equal to the inverse sine of the square root of 91 over 10. All right, so that means if we take the sine of both sides, we're going to see that the sine of u is equal to, well, sine of the inverse sine, those are going to cancel each other out, so you just get square root of 91 over 10. So if u is all of this, then the sine of u is just square root of 91 over 10. And what that allows us to do now is we're going to draw a little triangle here. It doesn't really matter what the triangle looks like other than it needs to be a right triangle. And one of our acute angles needs to be u. All right, and so if this is u and the sine of u is square root of 91 over 10, since sine is opposite over hypotenuse, this opposite side needs to be square root of 91, and this hypotenuse needs to be 10. All right. So now, what we're trying to find now is the cotangent of u. Since all of this is u, now if we find the cotangent of u, we'll have solved the entire expression. So, cotangent is the adjacent side over the opposite side. So we're going to need to find the adjacent side before we can find the cotangent. All right, so let's call this adjacent side A. And that, using the Pythagorean theorem, we know that a squared plus b squared, so square root of 91 squared, is equal to the hypotenuse squared, so 10 squared. So square root of 91 squared is just 91, so a squared plus 91 is equal to 10 squared, which is 100. We can subtract 91 from both sides. We get a squared equals 9. So a is plus or minus 3, but we know it's not the negative 3. So let's go ahead and put in 3 for a. So now that we've got all three sides of this triangle, we can find the cotangent of u. And remember, since all of this is u, the cotangent of u is what we're looking for. So the cotangent is the adjacent over the opposite. So this is going to be 3 over the square root of 91. But we don't want to leave this looking like that. We want to rationalize our denominator. So let's multiply by the square root of 91 on both the top and the bottom. And what we're left with is 3 times the square root of 91 over square root of 91 times square root of 91 is just 91. And that is our answer. And we could have gone back and substituted back in this sine, inverse sine of square root of 91 over 10 for u. But hopefully you can see here that by finding the cotangent of u, we've found this entire expression to be that exact value.